Hi, Rich Karuba for bowlingball.com. Let's talk about bowling ball surface grip pads. What are these grip pads, these Abralon pads, Sire pads that we read about or hear about? It is the textured or grip pads used in the pro shops or by yourself personally to texture the surface of your bowling balls. If you can take care of your own bowling balls, if you have your own set of grip pads, if you even want to get more elaborate and get your own high-speed bowling ball spinner, you can certainly do that at home. Most commonly, however, people take bowling balls into the pro shops and have them resurface or screen the surface of their bowling balls to A, remove a little oil from the cover stock of the ball, and B, to put some texture on the surface of the ball so you get some traction or create some surface friction when the ball rolls down the lane. Now, in order to keep the bowling ball surfaces prepared so you get a consistent bowling ball motion, which is what everyone wants, you can screen these yourself in between or after your sessions are over in preparation for the next time you bowl. You could use a cleaner agent to clean some of the oil off the ball, and you could also use the polish if you use polish to help the ball extend the skid length. You can do this at home or at the bowling center right when you get done bowling. Let's talk about getting acquainted with some of the various grit pads available. You can purchase them online. They're relatively inexpensive. You can get them in the pro shops. Here's a simple list of grit pads which are itemized from producing the earliest roll up to the latest break point down the lane. First is a 180-degree Abralon pad. This pad produces a highly textured surface for maximum gripping power. Next, you go up 360. It's still a very aggressive pad. It's going to still give you a very good texture to create traction on heavy or extremely oiled lane surfaces, but not as much as 180. Typically 360 is about the lowest that we use most of the time unless we're really trying to get a surface texture with the 180. A 500 pad is a step closer to a smoother ball finish, still has sufficient gripping power. The 1000 pad produces a sufficient amount of gripping power on most lane conditions, medium or medium heavy oil or even medium dry. 2000 Abralon pad produces a medium grit texture, providing good skid in the front and with back end bite. Okay? And the 4000 pad is the finest texture of all the pads and extends the bowling ball length as far as it's capable of going. You'll find that if you want to tweak in between these ranges, you can buy other type of scuffing pads available in hardware stores or perhaps even online and fill in between these Abralon pad ranges that we just discussed from 180 up to 4000. For example, there are scuff pads with 400, 600, 800, 1200, 1500, and 2500 grit. So it depends on the type of job you need. Personally, you could do it with 3 pads, maybe a 360, maybe a 500, a 1000, and a 4000, something like that. 3 or 4 pads will do it for you. You can do it at home. You can get your surface prepared to match the lane conditions that you encounter most frequently. We also recommend you pick up some bowling ball cleaner. So the first thing you should do when you're done bowling is clean all the oil off your bowling ball. Get a microfiber towel that absorbs the dirt and the moisture and the grit and clean that bowling ball surface. If you need to texture the whole surface of the ball lightly, evenly with even hand pressure with one of the grit pads that have it ready to go next time, then do it. Put the ball away in your bag and it'll be ready to go next time you get to the lanes. There's even some polishes with various grit. If you use polish, some have very fine grit, some a more coarse grit of polish itself to give you some traction, even though the ball will skid on the front end of the lane. So depending on how far you want to get involved doing the work yourself, we'll tell you about which grit pads typically and what other items such as cleaners and polishes you should acquire and keep with you when you get to the bowling center or back home. In general, these 6 pads that we discussed will give you sufficient ranges for surface texture capabilities and should match to most all the conditions where you bowl. We hope some of this information helps you, and keep that bowling ball surface prepared and ready to go. Thank you.